Assalamu alaikum all. Hope you all are fine, enjoying sound health and being the best in your lives. Right. Today we're gonna discuss what are the callbacks, what are the promises, what are their drawbacks, advantages, and why the hell we need them. Okay. So here is the hell why we need them. Set timeout. We'll see what is set timeout and what type of problems it creates for us. That a callback and promises solves. Right. So let's get to our VS Code. Okay, so here we are in our VS Code. I have this file conventional.js. I have this objective. I wanna first print out started preparing meal, and then after 3 seconds it must print meal is ready, and then after it must say started preparing tea, and after 2 seconds it must say tea is ready, and then started washing clothes. After 1 second done with washing, then started learning JavaScript, and after 2 seconds completed JavaScript, and then went to sleep, and after 3 seconds it must print woke up. Right. So I have these five tasks. Right. So I have uh, uh, these five functions to perform the tasks. First of all, I have meal function. Right. It would first print out started preparing meal, and then this have set timeout. Actually, there is a function, and then there is the time interval. I need that after 3 seconds it must print meal is ready. So I in the function I wrote console.log meal is ready, and I gave it a time of, actually it takes in milliseconds, so I had to write 3000 to make it 3 seconds. I hope that is very clear. Like this I have created all the functions. It says started preparing tea, and after 2 seconds it would print out tea is ready. Right. Then wash, same, and then learn function, learning JavaScript, and then sleep function. Right. And in the end I call them out. So with the layman approach, with the common approach, we can see that it must work fine because it looks accurate. But here is the problem. So you can see that first of all it started preparing meal, and then started preparing tea, then washing clothes, then learning JavaScript, went to sleep. I went to sleep, then I done with washing, then tea is ready. That is just weird, right? I want that after one function is completed, the other function must be started. So what is it doing? That it, while it was waiting 3 seconds to print out, that it just called the other function t, and it printed out started preparing tea. It is waiting to print this out, but parallel it is performing the other task, so we don't want to do that. So here we have callbacks. So here we are again in our slides. A JavaScript callback is a function which is to be executed after an other function has a finished execution. So we'll see that how it works. So we have this simple function that we have already discussed, and that didn't work for us for our tasks. Right. Then we called use this callback technique. As you can see that we have an parameter that is callback, and we are calling it out here. So after 3 seconds it would first print out meal is ready, and then it would call out this function. Actually this parameter is like a function, right? We'll see that in our VS Code, and it would better explain there, right? Okay, so here we are in our VS Code, and I have this file called callback.js, and here I have modified functions. Let's see how am I calling it. I'm calling meal function with the t argument, right? Meal function with the t argument. So here we would actually have t, and in this set timeout we would actually have here t. Right. So after 3 seconds it would first print out meal is ready, and then it would call t function. Why I'm writing here wash. Let's see if I remove it. and I try to run this code. Started preparing meal. Meal is ready. It called out T function, started preparing tea, and then tea is ready. After T is ready, there is an error at line 26. Line 26. Here, right? We have defined in a function, defined the T function with a callback, right? And on line 26, it's using its value, callback 2, right? But when we called the T function out here, we didn't give any argument here, right? So that's why it's creating error here. I must give some argument here, because our T function is defined in this way. So after T function, what task we have? We have wash. That's why after T, the wash function would be called out. That's why I'm writing here wash, because I have a function named wash to perform the washing task. I hope that is very clear. Now we would have wash here, and then we would have wash here. Wash with learn, because after a wash we want to learn JavaScript, and for that task we have a function naming learn, right? I hope this is very clear. Now we would have learn here as the argument. We would have learn here, because callback 3 value would be learn, and we would actually here with the learn function with the argument sleep. Learn function with the argument sleep, and then here sleep function would be called out. We don't have any argument here, because we don't while defining this sleep function, we didn't have any parameter here, because it's the end of our task, it's the end of our code, and it's the end of our functions, right? So now when I would call it out, after 3 seconds meal is ready, 2 seconds tea is ready, 1 second washing clothes, completed JavaScript, and it's perfect. So you can see that callback has solved our problem. But as you can see that it created hell for us. It's called callback hell. And if there is some error, or accidentally we put some error in it, then it would very difficult for us to locate that error. That's why that is the biggest backdraw of callbacks, and that's why we use promises. Now we'll get to the promises, how we use them in this type of tasks. Okay, now we have promises. A promise is an object representing the eventual completion or failure of an asynchronous operation. Right, asynchronous operation like the set timeout we are dealing with right now. So we'll get to our VS Code to see how to use promises. Okay, so here I am in my VS Code, and I have this file promise.js. Okay, now our tasks are same, our objective of the code is same, but in the same way we have functions, but in the functions we have these promises, like first of all it would print started preparing tea, and then after it would return a promise. You can see return this new key is used to actually create a promise, because as we learned earlier, a promise is like an object, so a new key is used to define a new object, and I hope that's very clear. So in promise we can either have a resolve or a reject. We can have two type of promises, and it actually depends on the input. Like in the function we have a mood parameter, so this parameter would decide the response of this promise. Like in Settimeout I have this function. What does it say? If mood is true, then we would have our resolved response with the value meal is ready, and if else, like mode is false, then we would have rejected response with the value meal is not ready, right? Same way just like that we have created all the other functions, right? You can pause the video and see all the functions here. I hope that is very clear. In this I didn't give any argument, and I made this promise with every time it would give us a resolved response, right? So right now, after that, I have defined these modes: meal mode, tea mode, and wash mode. Here I have a detailed video on dot then and catch this catch. I have detailed video on this syntax, you can watch on my YouTube channel, and it would clarify all your um, ambiguities about this then and catch syntax. So first of all, I called out a meal function with the argument meal mode, that you can see its value is true, right? So its value is true, so it would give us a resolved promise, and a resolved promise is operated in dot then block, right? So this block would be executed, and its value would be, as I have told you earlier, guys. For the resolve, we would have value meal is ready. So I'm saying that this value would be printed out, like meal is ready would be printed out, and in that block I am calling this t function out. And uh, but then after this block, in the return value we would have another argument, right? Actually, if we see our t function, first of all it would print out started preparing tea, and then after it would give us a promise, right? So again, we can use dot then notation to execute it, because we have t mode true, so it would give us a resolved response, and we can approach it with dot then, right? And then after this, in the same way we would have the value t is ready, and this would be printed out. Then I again called my third function wash with the argument wash mode. I hope that is very much clear what's going on here. Then after, I have this learn, this sleep, and I would simply uh, print out the value I got from this sleep function, right? Let's just cut it out, it would just confuse you guys. So I have this catch block, like if I have this false, if I have this false, then this wash function would return us, this wash function would return us the a promise with a rejected value, so that would go to the catch block, and in the catch block this value would be printed out, right? So first of all we would see it with the true. I would run this. So you can see that it works perfect, right? Now again, if I make it false, again run it, start preparing meal, because we had the mode true, meal is ready. Tea, we had the mode true, tea is ready, but started washing clothes, but we had the mode false, so it says clothes are not washed. You can see that in our wash function we have else. If a mode is false, we would have the rejected response with the value clothes are not washed, right? So it was thrown at this block, and its value was printed out, and we don't have any other thing after this, so it's not giving us anything. Actually, we can again write all of our blocks here, like after washing we had learn, right? So After this I would call my learn function, and then this. So when I would run this, started preparing meal, meal is ready, started preparing tea, tea is ready, started washing clothes, clothes are not washed, but it also executed like learning JavaScript and sleeping function, right? Because after this catch block, now I have defined the all other, like I returned learn function, I printed out its value, I returned sleep function, I printed out its value, right? I hope the promises are very clear to you now. Now there is another syntax of using this, that is the try and catch async functions await key. So now we'll see that what it is. So here we are in our VS code, and I have this file try catch.js. So the functions are the very same that we defined in our promise file, right? Right, only the syntax is changed. We have all the modes like we defined in our promise.js file, right? Instead of then and catch a syntax, now we are using try and catch syntax. And first of all, we would define an function that is basically async function, okay? And we have, instead of then, we have try block, and the catch block is same, but the way of writing it is different. Here you can see the syntax, right? What's going on here? We have this await key here. What it means, it means that it would call out meal function, and it would wait for this meal function to be ended, and then the other line of codes would be executed, and that what was we basically looking for, right? So first of all, it would execute meal function, and then its return value would be printed out in this meal response, and after this I am printing out this meal response. In the same way, then I called out t function with the await key. I stored its value in t response, and I then printed it out. Like, I hope this is very much clear to you now. I have all the modes true, so all the responses of the promises would be resolved, and our catch block won't be executed. So I hope, and in the end I just called out this foo function. So I hope that is very clear to you now, and thanks for watching video. If you have any question, you can ping me out. Take care, bye bye, Allah Hafiz.